Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video right outside the bike here, and we're back. Sadly, I think we're gonna have to say this is our last time here. We've been here a bunch of times, and luckily the sun is still up, so you know it's not DJ hours. It's about like middle of the afternoon. It's absolutely packed inside. Pretty long wait list. Now we just got here. Got myself on the list. We're on the 5-5 and 5-10 games. At least on the list. I don't know if we're going to actually hop into the 5-10, but if it's a good looking one, then we just might take a shot. But probably going to play 5-5. That list is going pretty fast. So, yeah, last time here. We're going to go to San Diego pretty soon and check out some more action in the card rooms there. We only have a few days left of LA before we go to San Diego, so obviously, why not cap things off? And we have to redeem ourselves. We haven't been doing too well here at the bike, so we can definitely do better. Let's try to climb out of the red that we're in. And let's do it. Hopping into the action, let's get her done. Hopping into the 5-5 game we go. We pick up ace-8 offsuit in the cutoff with an undergun straddle. I open up the action to $40, and we get the button and big blind to make the call. So we're going three ways in middle position to a flop. The flop is pretty good. It's ace, king, deuce, two hearts, and when the big blind checks to us, we're early on in the session, and for some reason, I decided to just balance my checking range a little bit, not necessarily having to c-bet every single flop. Here I check, but definitely probably merit to betting for sure. The button checks back, and we're going three ways to the turn. The turn comes a king. Not a good card for us, as a king certainly can be checking. But when the big blind checks to us for a second time, definitely need to bet now with top pair. But I sized pretty small here to $45 with top pair and a pretty weak kicker. Only the button makes the call, which is pretty surprising. Didn't expect him to have too much here, but we're going to a river. The river comes the 8 of hearts, so the heart draw gets there. Not too concerned about it as much, but sitting with 3 pair, I don't really love the situation, so I check to get the showdown. He throws in a bet of $100, and these river bets are usually pretty strong. I'm just not happy with how I played this hand, checking the flop. I think I probably misplayed it big time, but with top pair and pretty much chopping to any ace that's lower than us, we make the call, and he shows us 5-7 of hearts for a flush. Yeah, definitely didn't love how I played this one. Next hand in, pocket kings in the cutoff once again, and I open up the action to $20. Same player from last hand on the button makes the call. Flop comes queen 10-3 rainbow. I can't screw this up like last time. I definitely need a c-bet, so I throw out a bet of $30, and with this $30 bet, he calls. Turn comes the 10 of clubs, brings in the backdoor flush draw. It's not the most ideal card, similar to the first hand. Anyways, while I'm thinking, out of the corner of my eye, I see him, he's grabbing for chips, so I put in the check, and he immediately throws out a bet of $75. So obviously not folding here with our overpair, but going to be a little cautious moving forward. I put in 75, and we're off to a river. The river comes the 7 of spades. This is pretty much a brick, and I'm thinking here out of position, I feel like I have to target a queen and not let this go check-check. Can't be afraid of him having a 10 for trips here. If he raises us, we're going to have to take a bet fold line. So I size pretty small, just $85 getting value from top pair. He looks at the board, a little confused, but ends up putting in chips for a call. We show our hand and we're good, up against queen jack. Third hand we go with 6-7 of hearts in the small blind, this time playing six-handed, so feeling a little more comfortable playing short. The undergun player opens it up to $20. In the small blind, I don't love calling this out of position, but suited connectors are pretty fun to play. I make the call, and the big blind, once again, calls as well. Flop three ways comes 9-5-3 rainbow. There's a lot of backdoor opportunities, and it certainly smashes my range more than the undergun opener, but action checks the undergun player who bets $50. This is a pretty large sizing and almost pot-sized bet. I'm really suspicious right now. I'm definitely thinking of making the call here with the intentions of bluffing on a more connected turn. So I make the call, the big blind folds, and we're off heads up to a turn, which comes the 6 of clubs, brings in the backdoor flush draw. This seems like a pretty good enough card to turn our hand to a bluff into. So I check, He bets $70 now, and definitely going with the plan here with check raising. Although we did turn some showdown value, I do think that our pair of sixes here isn't necessarily good all the time. With that said, I'm going to stick to the plan and check raise and plan on barreling on good rivers. I sized to $240. He folds pretty quickly, and our bluff gets through.
So we're not back outside because it was a quick session. We did play for only an hour of 5-5, but our name got called for the 5-10. We're here to take a shot. We don't come to LA to not take shots. 5-10 is a 3K max, so it's gonna be a little big, but nothing we haven't bought in for. But we did buy in for 3K for a 1-3 game. A little bit different here playing 5-10. But for the 5-5 game, we played for an hour in for 1,200, out for 1,351, so decent profit there. And hopefully we can build on that at 5-10. It's gonna get dicey, boys. Let's strap in. We're along for the variance ride. Wish us luck.
So we hop into the 5-10 table with a starting stack of about $3,000. Shortly, once we're sat on, we are told that there is a mandatory straddle of $20 around the table. Little did I know, we hopped into the 5-10-20 game, and we're along for the ride. This hand here, we have ace-king offsuit in the cutoff. So playing 5-10-20, I folded for about an orbit, and now I pick up a hand. So I open things up to $60. Folds to the big blind, who 3-bets to $260. He's lost a few hands in a row at this point, and he could possibly be tilting, 3-betting fairly light from out of position. Also, maybe targeting a weaker player who hasn't played a hand since he sat down. Anyways, I've got a premium. I'm in position. I don't think we can just go to the flop just yet. We're going to put in that 4-bet here. We 4-bet to a sizing of $660. We are big time sweating. We haven't played a game as big as this before, 5-10-20. By far the biggest game we've ever played so far. Also, he covers us by a lot. So we're playing 3K effective. With this 4-bet, he thinks about it and ends up putting in the fold. We take down the first hand that we play on this table. This was a big time sweat. Second hand in, we have king-jack offsuit in the cutoff with obviously the unleon straddle. The +1 and hijack player both limp to me. They've been very limp happy so far on this table, which is pretty strange, but I'm definitely going to be playing this in position, so I put in the raise to $100. Only one of the limpers make the call in +1. He's been more of the passive player out of the two that limped, so we're going to a flop. We go to a flop, which comes Jack 9-4 rainbow. Pretty good flop for us, pretty dry, sitting with top pair and a good kicker. This should be pretty easy to play. We down bet to $85, and we're just trying to widen his calling range here on this flop. Trying to target pretty much everything that he's holding. So with this down bet, he makes the call for 85. The turn comes the deuce of clubs, brings in a backdoor flush draw, and once again he checks. With top pair, certainly going to be sizing up for sure all the time. Try to get value. Maybe he picked up a draw or two. I bet $285, and he pretty quickly reaches for chips and makes the call. This pot is ballooning up a little bit here. It's getting pretty big. The river comes the 6 of spades. Once again, he checks. Now, do we ever go for thin value in this game? I have no freaking clue. But on this board texture and against this passive of a player, I definitely need to assemble some sort of a value bet. And in this instance, I decided to size to $485. He looks at his cards and folds face up pretty quickly, showing us ace-3 of clubs, turning the straight flush draw, which is pretty crazy. So happy to take down 2 in a row. Following hand, picking up ace-10 offsuit in the big blind. We're playing 5-handed as a few players are off the table at this point. The button opens up the action of $75. This specific player, 75, is his standard sizing. So with this sizing, the small blind makes the call, and now onto me. Playing short-handed, very familiar with 5-handed here, so I'm definitely going to put in that 3-bet. The button can open up super wide, and I think ace-10 offsuit is just going to be ahead of that. So we sized this $280. These 3-bet sizings are massive, very uncomfortable with how big they are, but definitely what we have to do since we're out of position. Surprisingly, both players make the call for $280. It's really hard to play ace-10 offsuit multi-way, especially out of position, but here we are. The flop comes ace, ace, 7, rainbow. Bam. Pretty easy to play ace-10 off now on this board. So when the small blind checks with over $800 in the pot, I'm just going to be playing this a little bit more deceptively and check here. Don't think I can get too much value from worse hands if I were to see about this flop, so I check. Now the button throws out a bet of $300. Small blind folds, and as played, no need to really overplay this as I don't have a boat or really just have a pretty marginal kicker right now, but I make the call. The turn comes the queen of clubs. This brings in the backdoor flush draw, and this is pretty good for us as it does eliminate some combos of ace queen. Anyways, I check, and he surprisingly checks it back. So feeling pretty good about my hand now given the action. The river comes another queen. Wow. This board is not great. Looks like we're probably chopping against any ace, and I don't think we can get too much value unless he has a queen of some sort. I don't like this, actually. I probably would prefer checking again on this river, but I do lead out for $575. In hindsight, like I said, probably should just let him bluff at this. I don't think I'm really getting called by any worse or anything like that. But with this bet, he reaches for chips, assembles a stack of $100 chips, and throws in 15 of them. A raise to 1,500, and with the second nuts, obviously we're just never going to be folding. Easy call for us, expecting to chop all the time. And he shows us ace-king offsuit. Wow. What I thought was a really horrible river was an absolute lifeline. We save a bunch of money and chop this one up. Needed this suck out pretty bad. Next hand, we are under the gun, we are the straddle, and we look down at Jack 9 of hearts. +1 opens it up to $60. There's a hijack who makes the call with a really large stack. This +1 player has a pretty tight range, but for $40 more, 2 big blinds more, essentially, I make the call with a suited jack. The flop is beautiful. Deuce, 3-4, all hearts. Flopping the jack high flush is pretty darn good. So when action checks to the hijack, he bets out $150. This is pretty big, pretty much a pot-sized bet, and I'm out of position, certainly going to charge the max for flush draws, or maybe even find ourselves in a cooler situation, flush over flush. With that said, I check raise to $575, a little bit larger because we are out of position. He tanks for a long, long time, and after thinking things over, he folds. After folding, he goes to look for the turn card, and he flips over, which is the ace of clubs. So it looks like he probably had the ace of hearts in his hand of some sorts, and just folded. Anyways, happy to take this one down. The next spot here, we're in a similar situation with 3-6 of hearts. The +1 player opens it up to $60. We get the small blind and big blind to call that 60, and with 2 suited cards, probably can fold, but not really for 2 more big blinds. So we're off to a flop. The flop is 7-6-3 rainbow. Wow, aren't we just a luck box? Unfortunately, action checks around, so not great. Thought about leading out here and donk leading, but whatever. We're off to a turn. Turn comes the 4 of clubs. Not good. 4-liner out there. Any 5 makes a straight. Once again, the blinds check to me, and I debate between betting or checking. At the end of the day, I ended up just putting in the check, play this standardly, and action checks through. The river comes a 10 of clubs. Once again, action checks to me. So there is a flush out there. There is a 4-liner, but with 2 pair, let's try to target 10x, I guess. I size way down to just $65. The +1 player who opened pre-flop tosses in chips for 65. The blinds get out of the way. I show my hand, and we're taking this one down. Nice to go for at least some thin value on the river. Some time passes, the table's more filled up, and we look down at Queen 9 of hearts on the big blind. The button open limps, the small blind calls, and here for $10 more. I'm just going to call here out of position, probably could raise, but I'm really unsure about this spot. Anyways, I call, the straddler checks his option, and we're off to a flop. The flop comes Queen 10-6, 2 diamonds. When action checks to me, certainly going to be betting top pair in this spot, so I size to $50. And only the button makes the call who opened limped, so pretty curious about what his range is like. We're off to a turn which comes in 8. The board is a lot more connected. We're sitting with top pair. We do have a gutter ball, which is nice, but definitely can just pot control and get to showdown with top pair. I check, and now he throws out a bet of $125. I don't think I can fold just yet with top pair and a gutter. With a medium strength hand, I think this is just going to be a standard call. So we're off to a river. The river is the 7 of spades, and this is not great for us if we don't improve, but I check for showdown. Now he throws out another bet of $150. This river sizing seems like it's for really thin value. And looking at my hand here, can I ever turn top pair into a bluff? We do have a 9 for blocking the straight, so that's pretty decent for us. And it smells like to me calling is just burning money. Folding is also very fine too, but let's try to win this one. Let's try to target him and try to punish him for going for thin value. I put in the check raise to $525. With my raise, he goes well into the tank for 3 full minutes. I'm not going to let you sweat out the 3 full minutes of tanking, but middle of his tank, he does announce that he has 2 pair, and he tries to ask me if 2 pair is no good. So, yeah, I was hoping he would have like a good queen of some sort, but him sitting with 2 pair, we're trying to put him in a tough spot, but at the end of the day, he reaches for his cards, then reaches for his chips, tosses it in the middle for a call, which is not good. We show our hands, pretty annoyed that he made the call, but he shows us 10-8 of clubs for turn to 2 pair. Fuck, not good for us. This is a pretty big hit. And I thought it was a decent spot to go for it. I still think it's a decent spot now, but he made a good call. Just kudos to him. Last hand of the session, ace queen off in the small blind. We have the hijack who opens it up to $75. This is the same player who had ace king when we were playing 5-handed, so this is just his standard sizing. In the small blind, I don't really want to 3-bet just yet. No need to really bloat up the size of the pot here out of position. So I flat. The big blind calls as well, so we're going 3 ways to a flop. The flop is king 10, 6, 2 hearts, and a diamond. Action checks to the hijack, who puts in the c-bet of $115. I think sitting with the ace of clubs here, we have our gutter ball, we have our over, and we do have backdoor hearts to go with. So I make the call and float with pretty much ace queen, the ace of hearts. And surprisingly, the big blind called as well. Didn't expect him to be hitting this board. But we're off to a turn. Turn comes the 9 of diamonds, brings in the backdoor flush draw, and very connected board now. Sitting with ace high, I think we're going to have to give up on any bets. But good for us. Action checks all the way around. Let's try to improve on the river. The river comes the queen of hearts. Now we have some showdown, but with the 4-liner and the flush getting there, we don't really love the situation. I think sometimes we could actually bluff as well, sitting with the ace of hearts, but I think any jack's going to have to call our bet. Anyways, action checks all the way around. I show my hand, and somehow we're good? Somehow scoop this one up with a pair of queens, so thank you to the river. We're taking this one down.
All right, back in the hotel, and we wrapped up this 5, 10, 20 session. We survived. That's all that matters. We survived and found a way to not lose all our stack or punt off. The last time I took a shot at 5-10 at the Bellagio did not go too well. So this one went a little bit better. So final numbers here. So obviously I played the 5-5 for about an hour. I made $151 there. At the 5-10, 20, we were in the game for $2,951. Very weird buy-in, I know. And we were out for $3,655 in just under 3 hours played. So that's a good profit there of $704. We'll take that all day, any day. Yeah, not too bad in 3 hours. So it was a really cool experience, actually, where I got to actually be a little bit more disciplined. I'm going to force myself to not punt off stacks and tighten my range a little bit pre-flop. And yeah, that was a blast. Maybe you'll see more in the future. I have no idea. But with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah, 5, 10, 20, man. We survived.